for the sky.
People are always asking what's it like. It feels like a bird. Sometimes I feel like a rocket.
Brings all sorts of emotions.
Super awesome.
At the Nationals, whether it's a boys' team, a mixed team or a girls' team, doesn't matter. We all compete in the same discipline.
At the end of the day, competing is the reason why we put a lot of time and effort into jumping.
Welcome to the Australian Parachuting Championships 2016 at Nagami.
Hello and welcome to the 2016 Australian National Skydiving Championships. I'm Shura Taft.
And I'm Brie Lachlan and we're your hosts. Now, Shura, this is the first time competitive skydiving has been on Australian television. And what a way to celebrate its 55th year.
Here's a little known fact. Skydiving is one of the oldest sports in Australia. Well over 100 years ago, J.T. Williams, an adventurous young watchmaker, made the first ever parachute jump from a balloon. It was a groundbreaking and sensational feat of bravery. It was the beginning of parachuting in Australia, and it quickly became an extremely popular spectator sport.
In 1937, the first Australian woman to jump from an aeroplane was the inspirational Jean Burns. She was just 17 years old. And 23 years later, the Australian Parachute Federation was formed.
This year, well over 350,000 parachute descents were made. Half of them were first-time skydivers.
At the National Championships this year, 7 events are featured in the final rounds of competition. Let's run through the disciplines and how the judges score the events. First, we have formation skydiving, a hugely popular team event. The objective is to complete as many formations as possible during the skydive. Each formation is awarded a point and the team have a maximum of 35 seconds from the moment of exit to perform their routine.
Next, we have vertical skydiving. This is judged the same way as formation skydiving, except the skydivers are flying head to earth or feet to earth.
The third event of the day is artistic free fly. 2 skydivers have 45 seconds from exit to perform their routine. They are judged like a gymnastics routine. They have compulsory moves to perform along with their own choreography. The judges award points on degrees of difficulty, execution and originality of the formation.
Next is artistic freestyle. It's a very similar event, but it's up to 1 featured skydiver. This year, for the first time, wingsuiting has joined the national competition. In this event, 2 skydivers have just 55 seconds to perform their routine. They have compulsory moves to make as predetermined by the judges, and they can perform their own free routine. Judges are looking for originality and precision.
Next is canopy formation. This is a race against the clock. Each team has 30 seconds to catch each other from the moment of exit. They then have just 35 seconds to perform all the compulsory formations. The judges are looking for 1, was each grip made at the same time? 2, did the videographer capture the whole scene? And 3, were all the compulsory formations correctly executed?
And the last event featured in this year's final round of competition is classic accuracy. This event is all about canopy control, and the aim is to land as close as possible to a tiny dot the size of a 10-cent piece. The closest to the dot wins.
Fuck!
7 disciplines, all requiring totally different specialised skills. Free fall, wingsuit, team events and accuracy.
Who will take out the 2016 APF National Championships?
What is it about skydiving?
I love flying. Anything to do with flying and parachutes.
It's hard to put your finger on it. It brings all sorts of emotions.
People always ask me what's it like. It feels like a bird, and sometimes I feel like a rocket.
Competition at the 2016 National Championships is just about to get underway. But first, let's hear from Chief Judge Gail Bradley.
I'm the Chief Judge, so I'm like the head of the judging panel, but I've got 17 judges in there at the Australian Skydiving Championships, and how we do that is we have a panel decision on all of the assessments that we make.
For all of the sky-based events, the judges make their decisions based on the vision supplied by each of the team's dedicated videographer. The team performance, including the videographers, is closely scrutinised and points are awarded.
Their job is to present the skydivers carving. If they're doing flips one way and the cameraman flips the other way, it makes them look twice as fast. Clever things can be done. They're a part of the team, but their job is not to create, it is to provide.
What's the hardest discipline to judge?
Well, now you're going to cause friction. So you look at the artistic events and the free-flying, freestyle type events, they're subjectively based. So think of judging springboards, skydiving, gymnastics, ice skating, figure skating. They're the kinds of events that are subjectively assessed. The more absolute disciplines are the canopy formation and the formation skydiving events, where they've either taken the grips or they haven't.
But above all, the most important aspect of skydiving is safety. It is a crucial consideration for every skydive. Explaining the reserve parachute system is Team Focus.
We've got a main and a reserve parachute in here. Also an automatic activation device. That's a Cypress 2 unit. These are set up and calibrated to the ground, so they work on an altitude and a speed sensor.
The Automatic Activation Device, or AAD, is a fail-safe deployment system. If the main parachute is not deployed, the reserve parachute is automatically released.
Take us through what happens when it's reserve time.
Well, you learn that from your stage 1 of your skydive. So you've got a cutaway and a reserve handle. Look at the handles, make sure you've got both hands on your handles, pull them in the right order, and hopefully...
So you cut away, that takes away the main chute?
Certainly does. The main parachute is connected by the 3-ring system. Yeah, there's a little yellow cable back here on both sides. So as you pull your cutaway handle to full length, it just extracts the cables, and see you later. You've got to go find it.
Find that another time.
Go for a walk in the paddock.
Most skydivers have experienced a cutaway.
To be honest, I couldn't see anything because I was covered in water and rain and misty goggles.
Tommy Sierra from Team Full Tilt. found himself relying on his reserve parachute at a recent training camp near Byron Bay.
I tracked off from the boys. I opened up. I popped my toggles from my brakes and created a knot between the loop and one of the grommets. That resulted in me not being able to land my canopy. Went through my procedures, so I cut away. Landed with the free bag. A couple of hours later, after we'd finished training for the day, we went back and found the main.
What's going on, boys?
Unfortunately, had a cutaway on a second jump today, and the canopy has landed in there.
Oh, there she is. I think we found it, guys.
Yeah. We had to climb the trees, and we got it, and everything was safe, so it was all good.
Coming up, competition gets underway at the 2016 National Championships.
Welcome back. Let's run through the teams fighting and flying for glory in the final rounds of the 2016 Australian National Parachuting Championships. In four-way formation, we have Team Bellatrix, Australia's top female skydiving team. Anne-Marie Yersbowski, Kate Vaughan, Rhys Anderson, Karen Fuller, and videographer Steve Thompson. Between them, they have over 17,000 skydives, and they are on a mission here at Ngambie.
My name is Rhys Anderson, and I'm in Team Bellatrix. As a team, they're awesome. Everyone is very different, but somehow we managed to keep it pretty real.
When I do ask teams around what's your goals for the Nationals, they don't give me an average. They say we want to beat you girls.
So my first skydive, I remember I was absolutely petrified. I don't remember a lot of the free fall, but apparently I did everything that I needed to do to pass, and that was enough to make me do another one.
You need to see that you don't run into Karen, because Karen's kind of going that way.
We did our first training camp in November 2014, and then our first competition was the Australian Nationals in 2015, and we've been competing regularly since then.
Hi, I'm Stephen Thompson. I'm the camera guy for Team Bellatrix. I've been skydiving for about 5 years now, and just taken over 1,400 jumps.
So last year over in the Netherlands, we competed at the World Cup. We got a bronze medal, which was super awesome.
At the Nationals, whether it's a boys' team, a mixed team or a girls' team, doesn't matter. We all compete in the same discipline. You know what guys are like, so they don't want to get beaten by the girls. So of course, we'd love to smash anyone.
Up against Bellatrix is Team Rotor Out. They are Craig Vaughan, George Attard, Steve Smith, Michael Strickland and videographer Patrick Nygren. Rotor Out have won this event every year since 2009 and have represented Australia 4 times at the World Championships. They hold the current Australian record and are without doubt the hot favourites at this year's competition.
My name's Craig Vaughan, flyer with Rotor Out. The skydiving industry in Australia is quite small, and all of us have probably been in differing teams.
We're quite diverse. You know, we've got an intensive care doctor, we've got someone from the Victorian Police Squad, we've got someone who's an internet entrepreneur, and myself as an actuary. It's a very broad range of skills. I started competing in 1995. Since 1996.
For roughly 16 years.
About 5,500 jumps.
Done 10 today and about 3,000 or 4,000 altogether, I think.
I started skydiving when I was in the Swedish Army, and after a few years I bought myself a video camera, put it on my helmet, been doing it ever since. Yeah, I feel quite excited about the Nationals. At the end of the day, competing is the reason why we put a lot of time and effort into jumping.
I think I'd like to see this team really make its mark in Australian skydiving.
These are a great bunch of guys to be jumping with. They're the best in our sport. Jumping with these guys is a real privilege.
And this year we have another first in the four-way. Michael from Rhoda Out is up against his wife Anne-Marie from Bellatrix. They will be fighting it out for the points. This will definitely be worth watching. In vertical formation skydiving, or VFS, from New South Wales we have the current Australian record holders, the formidable Team Focus. They are Kyle Chick, Kieran James, Scott Hisco, Nathan Smith and Dan Smith.
My name's Dan Smith. I've been skydiving 17 years. I've got 9,500 jumps.
There was a four-way team. One of the members was leaving. I already knew the guys. We all got along fine. Yeah, it was like it was meant to happen.
During the week, I guess I spend about 6 hours in the wind, and that's just in the tunnel. Obviously, a lot of that is teaching people how to fly. That makes it a little bit easier to train.
Started doing different type of parachuting in the military and then decided I want to sort of go outside the military and do it, and sort of started from there.
Goal for Nationals, because where we are, there's not a lot of teams that compete in this discipline. It's a very difficult discipline to get into, and we've got a thin pool of talent, I guess, in this area in Australia. So for us, it's very much about competing against ourselves or setting ourselves up for what we want to do on the world stage.
In two-way free fly, Peter Olsen and Ash Saunders, along with videographer Dougie Harris, are Team John Rumbo. They're up against Team Full Tilt, brothers Richie and Shay Convery and videographer Tommy Sierra. They've been training for months and can't wait to get started.
I love flying, anything to do with flying and parachutes. Brothers just normally argue about everything. You know, you find it hard to agree on a lot of stuff, but we're not just brothers, we're best mates. Yeah, I think it's a really good combination for a team. Shay Convery, been skydiving for about 15 years.
Rich Convery, I've been jumping about 8 years. There's a lot of different disciplines in skydiving, and free flying, I reckon, shows a lot of it. Even it does some belly flying, free flying, you do it all. It's called two-way artistic, but it's a three-way team.
My name's Tom Sirakoski. I'm from East St Kilda, Melbourne, Victoria. Richie and I decided we wanted to do a trip overseas, and Richie's like, we don't have a cameraman. And I was like, hey, I'd never thought about being in a team before, but it just sort of came to me, and I would love to fly with the boys, so I jumped on the chance to be their cameraman.
If we were to win the Nationals this year, for sure, it's a big accomplishment. It's like what we've been training hard for. Our biggest competitions for Nationals this year would definitely be the Rumbos.
They're super good, man. They're flying awesome. And it's giving us a lot of drive and motivation because, you know, we want to compete and we want to compete well, and, you know, we'd love to win.
In artistic freestyle, we have current national champions Wade Edwards and Amadine Jenin from WD-40. Up against newcomers Mason Corby and Jimmy Cooper from Dynamics Down Under. For the first time in Australian competition, we have wingsuiting. It is a hot event and has attracted a lot of attention within the sport and also from spectators. We have two teams competing for the title, Gore and Turk, Isaac Nutria and Doan View from Team Sassy Red. Up against Ash Darby, Roger Hugelschoffer and Bobby McEntee from Team Jetstream.
Ash, thanks for joining us.
Good morning, thank you.
Now, you've got your gear here in front of us. Can you take us through it?
This is my favourite suit, and I wear it like my favourite pair of jeans. This one gives us a lot more ability to complete sort of radical moves.
Compared to the parachutists who, I guess, come straight down, how far away from the drop zone do you need to be so you can perform your moves and still land in the right spot?
Yeah, we can go a long way, but in acrobatics we're still sort of moving down on our fair bit while we're moving forward. We might get out 2 or 3 miles away from the drop zone.
In free fall, how many seconds do you have up there?
In a big suit, we can get up to 4 or 5 minutes.
Yep.
In a small suit, we average sort of 1 minute to 2 minutes, depending on how aggressive our manoeuvres are.
And how long does it take you to perfect a move, you know, one of your sort of signature moves?
Yeah, some moves we've done 100 times and we're still trying to get it perfect. And some moves we've done sort of 20 times and we've pretty much got it down. So it just depends. The harder moves are worth more points, so we spend more time practicing the harder moves.
How do you feel when you jump out?
This is where I'm more comfortable. I go home and I dream about wingsuiting. I practice it during the week and I get to sort of live that every weekend. People are always asking me what's it like, and sometimes it feels like a bird, and sometimes I feel like a rocket. You know, it depends on the sort of manoeuvres I'm doing and the weather and that sort of thing, and how anxious I might be that day. But generally, it's always I get the same euphoric feeling when I finish. So yeah, it's high fives on the ground, whether it's a stressful jump or an easy jump.
In the next event, known as Canopy Relative Work, or CREW, we have Richie Dronow, Scott Splitty Brown, and Chris Garcia on camera for Team Chaps, flying against Sam Meehan, Brendan Bull, and Simon Cube for Stinger Defence. Good luck, guys. And in classic accuracy, 10 individual competitors are competing for the championship this year. They are Don Woodland, Tibor Glesk, David Bolter, Graham Windsor, Janine Hayes, Mike Dyer, Frank Conway, Keith Perrott, Andy Mulholland and Jason Collis. It's a very strong and experienced field. Any of these guys could take it out this year.
So that's it for the team rundowns. Coming up, we get underway at the 2016 APF National Championships. To make it to competitive skydiving, it takes thousands of jumps. It is the definition of dedication and a massive investment of time and money. And is it worth it? Well, for their first time ever at competition, Team Full Tilt have made it through to the finals.
You must be excited heading into your first championships.
Sure am. Pumped.
How are you feeling? Tell us about it.
Yeah, for sure. It's nervous. We've been training for the last 5-6 months for it, so it's all come down to this. See how good we really are.
You can potentially head to the World Championships. Is there something, a move that's out there that's never been done that you're like, we want to have a crack at that?
We're working towards that for sure. This is our first competition, so we're sort of building the routine around what we can do, and when we sort of get more time and can spend more time in the air working on some jumps, we're going to definitely come up with some moves that we hope no one has done or is going to do for sure.
And that hard work and training isn't limited to aeroplanes, airfields and good weather. New indoor tunnel technologies mean the teams are able to free fall for hours a day. A normal free fall lasts between 60 and 90 seconds, so there is plenty of upside with the tunnels. The hot favourites at this year's competition. In vertical formation skydiving, Team Focus.
So what we've been doing lately is using rigs, not these rigs, but dummy rigs in the actual wind tunnel, so it's a lot more realistic for us. Obviously with the transitions and stuff, when you're vertical, you can imagine, something hanging off the back of you, it's going to make a difference. So if we don't use that in the tunnel, we get used to flying without them, and then when we get in the sky, it's a little bit different. So using those definitely helps a lot, but the wind speed's a lot faster in the tunnel as well, so you tend to turn your points faster in there. And we've got to sort of, come back to the sky and convert it over, slow everything down a little bit and go from there, but definitely helps a lot.
But it's changed the game, hasn't it? Because you found out a few things about aerodynamics that you probably didn't know.
Definitely, that's it for sure. And with our competition, VFS, it's really hard to dirt dive because of the different orientations. You can't really walk around on your head or whatever else, be upside down. So we use the tunnel to dirt dive, basically. Practicing the dive you're going to go and do. It's called a dirt dive because you do it down on the ground. It's a little bit harder for us. The tunnel obviously has changed the game definitely, so we can see the picture and know what we've got to look for up there, and then when we do it for real, we've got half an idea, so it definitely helps.
And your packs look a lot more streamlined than some of the other chutes. Is that because you're going so quick?
Yeah, that as well. Plus we've got smaller parachutes in there, so a smaller parachute means you can have a smaller container. Definitely streamline helps. The more it's sticking out off your back, obviously the more effect it's going to have on you when you're flying in a head-up position, mainly. But yeah, definitely having them nice and small helps.
Someone who unfortunately doesn't benefit from tunnel time is classic accuracy competitor Graham Windsor. For Graham, it's all about the canopy flight.
When I first started jumping, this was pre-1970, the target was about the size of a dinner plate. It was 10 inches. You could hit it with 2 feet, which you needed to do when you landed in those days. The parachutes were round and they landed pretty hard.
Well, can you tell us about the difference with those? Because obviously nowadays the control is so good.
Yeah.
With the round ones, how did you control it?
With a lot of difficulty.
Yeah, I'd imagine.
Because they just had holes cut in them and some lines are pulled on the side of those holes which deflected a little bit of air and just turned them a bit. You had to get right on the wind line and just sort of adjust your... You had this tiny little bit of forward speed, about 3 miles an hour, and you had to sort of try and juggle that with the wind speed and try and get yourself onto the target. And there was always a downwind landing. You'd run with the wind at the target so you didn't take your eyes off it. And of course, that always contributed to the force that you hit the ground. Not only did you have the rate of descent, but you also had this forward speed.
Stay with us because after the break we have the 2016 APF National Skydiving Championships. Welcome to the Australian Skydiving Nationals here at Ngambie, Victoria, where 200 of Australia's elite skydivers have been battling it out all week for a spot in the finals. The planes are fueled up and ready to go, so let's cross to the action.
Now, it's one thing to jump out of the sky and land a parachute accurately. How about if you landed on a mat like this? Now, that looks nice. You can land on the yellow bit. That's not all. When you're in classic accuracy, you've got to land on this black mat. That's not all. You've got to land on this black circle. Oh, it gets even better. See this tiny little yellow dot here, the size of a 5-cent piece? If you can hit that accurately, you are an absolute champion. And first to jump is Graham Windsor, the most experienced competitor in the competition. With over 35 years, tens of thousands of jumps of competitive skydiving under his belt, he's looking to take home the gold medal.
You can see Graham looking at the ground. He is checking the spot, giving himself the perfect start for his descent. Navigating a 250 square foot canopy in windy conditions from over a kilometre away is tricky business.
Each toggle input is calculated precisely to steer the canopy until the final approach to the target. Everything's taken into consideration here: wind, flight speed and rate of descent.
With his eye on the 2-centimetre target, Graham pulls the canopy to almost a standstill and drops straight down onto the mat, planting the heel of his shoe onto the small yellow bullseye.
On a day when most people are finding it pretty tough, I reckon you're close there. How'd you go?
I got 3 centimetres. It's really tricky.
Yeah.
It's some of the toughest conditions I ever tried. Yeah.
Well, people are getting double figures. You're getting 3 centimetres. That's unbelievable.
Ah, well...
Still got it. Next up is the only female competitor, Janine Hayes. Janine, as you came in, I heard you land and say, I don't care, I'm happy with that.
Yeah, I really wanted a 0, but a 9, well, in these conditions, yeah, I'm happy with that.
I'd be pretty wrapped with 9 centimetres.
I'm happy with that.
With the wind picking up, classic accuracy is put on hold. So let's cross to the free fall action as we get underway with the vertical formation skydiving.
We are on board with Team Focus. They are lining up in the door and ready to go. These guys are the current national champions and looking to beat their own personal best.
As these guys accelerate towards Earth, they're approaching up to 300 kilometres per hour. You notice the guys are wearing white gloves. That helps the judges see the points clearly as they take grips on each other.
The boys' current national record is 13 points, so let's see how they go today. It's also the cameraman Dan Smith's job to keep these guys in frame the entire jump. If he misses 1 point, the judges cannot award the score. It's a great jump by Team Focus. We'll get the judges' scores later.
It's the battle of the sexes as husband and wife, Michael and Anne-Marie, are up against each other in the 4-way formation final.
We're on board with the girls from Bellatrix. With 35 seconds on the clock, both teams are ready to go. Rotor out on the left get a great start. They are racking up the points early with plenty of set formations.
See how compact they are? Plenty of tight turns and good point scoring. The all-girl team Bellatrix are gaining momentum. Some good points coming their way, and they have increased their turn speed. As the timer counts down, who's going to be standing on the podium? With only a point separating the two teams in the artistic free fly final, let's see how the full tilt boys are feeling.
How are the nerves?
Not too bad. Yeah, pretty good. We've done this one a lot. It's completely up to the judges, really.
Here we are, going head-to-head for the final round of the artistic free fly. Who will it be? The current champions, Team John Rumbo, or the newcomers, Team Full Tilt? Remember, these guys are trying to impress the judges with their choreography.
And John Rumbo off to a strong start with their signature sky surf off the door. Full Tilt is now responding with a series of flip transitions, now flying head down whilst carving around the sky, facing towards each other.
And now transitioning, facing away from each other. That's a very hard move. The cameraman from Full Tilt just losing one of the competitors out of frame there. That's going to cost them a point. Will their routine be strong enough to take the title from Team John Rumbo? We'll have to wait and see here.
Both teams have incorporated head-to-earth and feet-to-earth positions along with carving and layout manoeuvres, which will improve their scores with the judges. These routines are so difficult and complex, and the judges' points are hard to come by.
As Full Tilt finishes a fraction before John Rumbo, it's going to be extremely difficult for the judges here to separate these two teams.
As the weather continues to deteriorate, the air-based events are also cancelled.
So Isaac, they've just made the call. You guys aren't going up for safety reasons today.
Yeah, it's looking pretty cloudy. Like, can't see where we're flying when we're up there, but hopefully it disappears pretty quick and we can go up again.
With the competition on weather hold, the pressure builds as the competitors are forced to wait it out.
It's finals day here at the 2016 National Skydiving Championships, and as you can see, it's a hive of activity as the guys are frantically packing for their final round. So after the competition being cancelled due to bad weather yesterday, we are back. And first up this morning, we get started with the final of the wingsuiting.
Alright boys, let's have some fun on this one. Nice and relaxed.
Astrom Team Jetstream on the left of screen, indicating he's ready to go. As the cameraman from Sassy Red leaves the plane, there's a bit of separation. He quickly makes up the ground and almost overshoots his teammates.
Team Jetstream working well together, staying nice and close as they perform some nice barrel rolls over each other. Team Sassy Red looking good as they also perform some barrel rolls over each other, but losing a bit of altitude there as they come out of the move, eating into valuable time as the clock counts down.
Back over to Team Jetstream and we see Ash in the green doing a fantastic job, staying nice and close to his teammate Roger as he takes another dock and adds to the score. The boys from Sassy Red getting it together now as they try and catch up from the earlier mistake.
As the timer counts down and the teams break off into the clouds, who is it going to be? Who will take home the gold for the first time in Australian skydiving history?
It's time for the artistic free fly, and we are with the current national champs and very popular Amadine and Wade from WD-40. On the right, we have Mason and Jimmy from Down Under Dynamics. It's old school versus new school. We love this.
And here they go. And look at that smile on Amadine's face as she exits the plane with a front flip and triple twist into a traditional spinning arabesque. Mason trying something new here as he carves around his cameraman Jimmy with his hands on his hips. This demonstrates to the judges his poise and balance. He strings together a series of new school moves here, which he's perfected through his indoor skydiving background.
Amadine responds with a very tidy triple backflip and pops up a little high, losing her cameraman Wade in the sun. But look at that, showing us her move she calls the Flying Lotus. And it's over now to Down Under Dynamics and young Mason, who finishes off the routine with an inverted moonwalk, a very cool way to end. It's up to the judges now, and I don't envy them, to decide who will take out the win.
And the last event on the card today is the Canopy Relative Work two-way final. We have Team Chaps taking on Team Stinger Defence. And they're off. Both teams making a lovely exit. They both have just 30 seconds to open their parachutes and link up.
With both teams successfully linked now, 35 seconds working time they've got to make as many set formations as they can. We have Chaps on the right of screen who are off to a flying start. Look at them. These guys are also part of the Australian four-way crew team and have taken part in several Australian records. So a good resume from them.
Stinger Defence, you can see, are a little bit slower than the boys from Chaps. This discipline is one of the hardest in competition. There's a lot of respect for what these guys are doing right now. Flying around under a perfectly good parachute in close proximity and grabbing each other's lines takes a lot of skill. These parachutes are made a little different to the standard parachutes that are used in everyday skydiving. Having fewer lines in front allows competitors to hook their feet in a lot faster. Stinger Defence looked like they got a little confused there. As you can see, the formations are repetitive patterns just like the other formation disciplines we watched earlier. This is a game of mental strength as well as physical strength. As Team Chaps continue to smash out the points, it looks like they'll just be too good for Stinger Defence here.
So here are the final results for the 2016 National Skydiving Championships. Taking out the gold medal in classic accuracy was Don Woodland with a total score of 39 points. Unfortunately for Graham Windsor, for this year he is in 4th place.
In the vertical formation skydiving, Team Focus bettered their previous Australian record with an average of 15 points. Congratulations, Team Focus. In a nail-biting finish, Team John Rumbo defeated newcomers Team Full Tilt by just 1 point in the artistic free fly competition. It couldn't be any closer. And in the four-way formation, Michael and his team rotor out are just too good for Anne-Marie and her team Bellatrix. They add another national championship trophy to their collection. In an Australian first, Team Jetstream take out the gold medal over Team Sassy Red in the wingsuit competition. Smiles all round for these guys, congratulations.
And the reigning freestyle national champions, Wade and Amadine from WD-40, were far too strong on the day for Mason and Jimmy from Dynamics Down Under. But I'm sure these boys will be back just as strong next year. And finally, in canopy relative work, the boys from Chaps beating Stinger Defence to round out this year's Australian Skydiving National Championships.
That's right! You've been watching the 2016 Australian Skydiving Championships!